Welcome to the Great British Pinball Podcast, and here are your hosts Scott Rundell and Neil McRae.
Welcome, everybody. It's the Great British Pinball Podcast, episode 28, the happy birthday edition. Happy birthday to Max Rundle, born earlier today, I think around lunchtime, although Scott admitted that he wasn't quite sure what time it was, but Max, just over 7 pounds, mother and baby doing great. And there's a beautiful picture on Scott's Facebook if you want to have a look. And great to see. I'm very happy for them, and I thought it was only right to wish them well in their next 4 months of not being able to sleep. Holly looks pretty tired. I think she's had a long weekend, but I'm really pleased that it all went well, and Max Rundle is there, so video game people will no doubt figure out the video game link, given Holly and Scott's love of video games. Anyway, Scott, my friend, really happy for you, and wish you and your new family all the very best, as I'm sure all of our listeners do. Right, so I'm going to do a bit of a podcast of my own, and I'll try and if Scott's busy, which I'm sure he will be, I'll probably find a guest to fill in for him next at the end of September. But I wanted to cover three things today. First of all, Pinfest. Second of all, the new Star Wars game from Stern. And there was a third topic, but it's gone in my head. I'm sure it'll come back to me. But it's episode 28. And first of all, Pinfest. Pinfest was great, no question about it. The event was way better. The big change that they made was to move the tournament into another area, which worked better for the main tournament and a hell of a lot better for the main gig, if you like. And because of that, it just felt more spacious. It felt like there was a lot more games to play for those that weren't in the tournament. Retro Arcade Specialist filled up the area that normally has the tournament in it, and I mean, he brought tons of stuff, loads of games, including Dune, which was fantastic, ABBA, which is awful, Blues Brothers, which is awful, and not much more I can say. But massive difference. There's two things about Pinfest that I'm going to be negative for just like 1 or 2 minutes, folks. Fast forward, 5 minutes from now to, I'll promise my rant is no more than 5 minutes. The first thing, and it's not a surprise because I've said it before, but the tournaments are just not where they need to be. For the two kind of second and third biggest tournaments in the UK, for them to score not the maximum World Championship points is staggering. The main tournament's got a lot better, for sure, going 5 card, but head to head, I don't know why do head to head where you could do Papa format, get double for each game. Doesn't make any sense to me, and it's just as competitive, if not more competitive. Certainly better for the viewer, in my view. Although people will probably debate about that. The classics, I just don't get that tournament at all. I'm just going to leave it like that. The second thing I wanted to kind of be a little bit negative about is the best in show, because it's not. The reason I'm saying this is because there's a few people that I know that really used to enjoy the best in show when it was done kind of a bit more professionally. I don't know what's changed, or if it's just that more people have started to want to win this just by getting their buddies to vote for them. But a public vote, kind of controlling what the outcome is just not great. First of all, Ramones was the best remake and best game of the show. No argument with that. But the best, there's a couple of, the best EM was good. It was Wizard exclamation mark, an old EM. The best kind of SS classic, absolutely should not have won. Game was awful, looked awful, played awful. Just not fit for anything close to best game, and there was so many other better games in the hall. Same is true for best DMD and Adam's Family. Nah. Not even close to the best DMD. The World Cup Soccer opposite was significantly better. And then finally, Godzilla. Now, Godzilla looked okay, except there's one big problem with it. Its node board had gone, which meant the tower and other stuff wasn't working. That's an instant 0 in my book of best game. You can't have a game that isn't working. And again, I don't think it was the best modern game that was there. I would argue that Galactic Tank Force was significantly better. And that, if there was a game that probably should have won it, it should have been that. It just leaves a bad taste. And lots of friends that have won before and entered before basically said, what's the point in doing this? Because it's just not taken seriously enough, either by those voting or those running it. So those are my kind of two kind of pet peeves around Pinfest, but substantially better. Josh won the classics. Mike Christensen won the main tournament. Alice won the ladies tournament, and I can't remember who. Was it? Sorry, Andy won the NBA tournament with both Lucy and Daniel Vince winning the juniors, and I can't remember who won there was another group, but they won that. And then actually it was a Scotsman whose name escapes me, which is Bad Karma, who won the league finals. Actually, the league finals looked like they were really well organized. It felt more like how the league finals should be. I don't think it's there yet. For me, the league finals probably got the most players in the UK in it. It should be a major event. It's certainly better. Ian from Preston Pinball, actually, he streamed all weekend, not just the league finals, but a load of other stuff. And I think Paul, did a great job on trying to, make those finals worthy. Let me just find out. I'll just quickly. I know Martin on Pinball News. By the way, if you want to see a lot of detail about Pinfest, go take a look at Pinball News. Martin's done his usual massive write-up with lots of photos and videos. Let me just find who won the league, because she was actually. Well, the other game that was great. There was a game called Cyber Race, I think, which was a homebrew. Looked pretty good. Seemed to play pretty well. And actually, the other thing the other thing that was very different. The hotel has been bought out by another company, so they actually had staff in the hotel. The upside of that was you got served well, but the other side is because they're now running a professional setup. There was in the past, you've been able to get away with certain things. So, like, we were unloading through the staff entrance. Nah, you can't do that anymore. So it's give and take. But I think overall, if the hotel for me was the best it's ever been, which was great. It's great to see the hotel getting invested in. I mean, it's still a long way to go. So, yeah, Alice McKenna won the ladies, and the league finals was won by Steve Close. Into the Not Real Pinball Hall of Fame was Greg and Ailsa, both worthy winners, but the Hall of Fame is a bit of I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's the Hall of Fame to me. But anyway, we shall move on. So some really great games brought. I mentioned Galactic Tank Force. Rob also brought his TNA. There was a June there. Actually, June I played about 5 or 6 weeks ago at Pinburg, and I thought it was awful. In fact, I kind of walked away from it after Ball 3. Didn't enjoy it at all. It's significantly better. So they've obviously been working aggressively on the code. Definitely played a lot better. The flippers on it though, just I don't know what it is. They just don't feel right to me. Same on Labyrinth. I think it's it's how they're using it, but they just don't feel as good as they should be or as good as they could be. So that's kind of that. And didn't feel as crowded. I think partly because of the change of where the tournament was, but also I said this in the build up. I just don't think as many people were there this year. In fact, I'm pretty sure about it. I mean, at one point in last year and year before, you could not move around the thing without getting in the way. But Phil, great job. I took Kong and Evil Dead. Actually, was going to be for a private tournament. I ran a tournament last year, a few years ago, and got into trouble for it. So I was going to run it in my room, called Fight Club. Basically, winner takes all. We've done it. We did it in Disc. We did it at Expo, and we're going to do it at Pinfest. And Phil was keen, as was I, to put the two games I took, which was Kong Premium and the Evil Dead. Evil Dead was rammed all weekend. It's probably the busiest game there. So that's 2 for 2. Last year was Pulp Fiction. It was rammed all weekend. And this year, Evil Dead, both games ran beautifully. June was very busy as well, no question about it. Rob made some story up about Galactic Tank being busy. I mean, I like the game, but it wasn't busy, mate. But yeah, a lot of, I mean, I'd also poor retro arcade specialist brought a Blues Brothers, and I spent the weekend taking photos out with no one playing it. I mean, a great thing about that is more people came to my point of view as to why that game is so freaking awful. It is bad, and please, for the love of God, Homepin, stop making pinball machines. The tournament I ran, and there was Electrical and Retro Arcade brought 3 games for the charity, which was Venom, Uncanny X-Men LE, and Led Zepp Premium. Probably not the kind of lineup you want to maximize cash, but with the tournament that I ran, the Fight Club, half the money went to the charity, and actually I won the tournament by total chance. So I donated the winnings, so it was like winner takes all, half the pot going to the charity, half the pot going to the winner. I basically donated the whole thing to a pot, which I think was about 300 quid. I think they raised $1,000 overall. Something like that. But yeah, look, great weekend. It was great to see so many people there. And a couple of moments where Alan Adair, who they were raising the charity money for sarcoma, him not being there was definitely it was noticeable. We missed him for sure. I missed him. And his brother Alfie was there, it was great to see him. And great to see a lot of people that you probably see once a year. So thank you for that. Everyone who was involved in running it, great. One, actually, I did. I'm going to break my promise about being negative. Actually, maybe is negative the right word, but there's one other issue that caused me great pain. No one will care. In fact, this is only going to re-emphasize my position as the most hated person in pinball in the UK. But the hotel advertises itself as dog friendly. Now, in the past, I think I've ever seen a dog at Pinfest. Never ever. It was basically like Battersea Dogs Home at the hotel, and I have a dog allergy. Some of you know about this because the last time I had a big flare up was at the club when someone came in with a dog, and normally one dog I'm fine, but if the space is too enclosed, it just bungs me up, and I've got this. I don't know if you can see it, but I basically came out and this kind of rash, which was awful. Made me feel like make it look like I had a really bad cold. I couldn't breathe and I kept sneezing. It was pretty tough. In fact, the day after driving home, it got so bad I actually had to pull over for half an hour whilst I got my shit together. So, and I kind of, when I got back, I kind of looked at, well, the first thing I did was to look at the UK Open hotel, and thank God there's no dogs allowed in it. So that's one up, because I was thinking I'm not going through that again and trying to run the UK Open. It's not that I don't like dogs. Dogs are fine. It's just they just do something to me that is pretty horrible. And I've still got it. You hear me? That is not a cold. It is this allergy that's just finally coming down off of. I've been on antihistamines all week. I actually had to go to work and present, and I was like, the great thing, I was in the US. The great thing about US is you can buy pretty potent drugs over the counter. So I managed to get through what I had to do just. But on Bank Holiday Monday, I was literally laid up all day. And so the hotel says it's friendly for animals, but they're only supposed to be in two areas, either your room or the kind of main reception area. They're not allowed in the restaurant. They're not allowed in any of the function rooms. But continually, there was folks with dogs in the function rooms and in the restaurant. And honestly, I didn't notice it, because if I had noticed it, I probably would have been a dick and complained. And again, I'm not trying to be anti-dog, but it was a real problem for me. Think of the old peanut allergy. If someone had, if we're all throwing peanuts around everywhere and there's someone with a peanut allergy, you kind of think differently, right? Anyway, that's something I think needs to be looked at. And again, it's not. I think having dogs there in your room or in the big public area in reception is fine, but the other areas, it's just no, frankly, for a variety of reasons, not just because of my allergy, but a variety of other health and safety reasons too. So now that I've totally cemented the hate of the pinball community, let's move on to Star Wars Fall of the Empire. So last week, Stern released a teaser on Thursday, I think it was, or was it earlier? I can't remember. The teaser was actually awful. I mean, I don't know what Stern were thinking. I love you guys, but that teaser was awful. It basically had the logo, a little bit of some weird music no one's heard of, and then it mentioned Spike 3. What was kind of funny is from a few dealers, apparently customers were asking if Spike 3 was a new droid. So us in pinball know that Spike 3 is Stern's next generation pinball system, because the current one is Spike 2, the one before it was Spike 1, the one before that was called Sam, and Stern have been talking about, doing an upgrade to Spike 2. Actually, do they need it? Maybe a little bit. I have to say, I'm a bit of a what's the word? I'm not. Look, I think the system's important, right? But for me, pinball's about the ball and flippers. So, look, are Stern going to do a great job of this? Absolutely, because Spike 2 has been fantastic. I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, Neil, what are you talking about?" But I probably own more Spike 2 games than anyone else in the UK, and it's bulletproof. It's just been solid. Yeah, I've had a couple of noteboard failures, a couple $100, you swap them, you can get them fixed. But in the UK, if you go to any location pinball, unless it's an arcade by the seaside, but if it's like a pub or anywhere else, guaranteed every single game is a Stern Spike 2 game or CGC game in some cases. It's never a JGP game. It's never a spooky game. It's 100% not an American pinball game. It's not your Bally Williams classics. They just don't survive in a way that makes money. And that's what having a pinball on location is all about. So Spike 3, what's the there's some pictures of what is believed to be the new MPU, the new CPU board. On that board, there's some notable things. The amplifier is beefed up considerably. You can see a whole bunch of kind of amp-related accoutrements, I think is the word I'll use, that means that you're going to get much better sound. Neil McRae's take on sound. Folks, if you've got a Spike 2 game, here's my advice to you. Put the Kenwood speakers in the back box that come with the LE and unplug the subwoofer in the bass. Now, all you're going, Neil, you're absolutely freaking mental. But I'm one of those sound freaks that will pay ridiculous amounts of money for audio gear, and I can tell one, audio is good and bad. Let me tell you, trust me on this. Then adjust all the settings so that you've got bass playing through the front of the speakers. It is a million times better. Why is that? Well, maybe the cabinets that Stern and actually every pinball manufacturer make, they're not really designed to be kind of high-end speakers like a B&W or like the speakers I've got, Nautilus. No, they're not. They're not designed like that. They're not made by hand with the most precision. So when you just stick this car woofer that costs £3.50 from AliExpress in the bottom of it and expect it to sound good, it ain't gonna happen. So trust me on that. Just try it. Anyway, Spike 3, better amp, better sound, hopefully more memory so you don't have to compress the sound so much, because it's the Spike 2 sound is very compressed. And that's why when people put amps on Spike 2, it makes my hair stand on end and my ears bleed, because you amplify such not the best signal in the world. Actually, the mix that Stern does is outstanding. Jerry and the sound guys there, they do an amazing job on the sound itself, the content. But the electronics that drive it's just not as good as it could be, especially if you run that subwoofer in the bass. What else is it? So the board apparently has got 2 HDMI outs. One, I think, will be for peripherals on the playfield, little screens like on Star Wars, for example. The other, it appears to mirror the screen output. So hooray for streamers, we'll be able to push out HDMI without having to build some wacky board to extract it. I think that's great news. Hopefully there's audio on that HDMI signal too. Actually, in the electronics, there is LVDS for the same display that Stern currently uses. There's also what appears to be an EDP port, enhanced display port, which is the kind of port that more and more modern laptops are using for high resolution screens, especially stuff above 1080p. So good news is, and also those screens are more and more screens are that format as opposed to LVDS, so it makes sense for them to put that on it. Onboard Wi-Fi, you can see an antenna port, so you'll be able to plug an antenna in, dangle it out the back and get some decent signal. Also looks like there's more memory on the board. It's using Raspberry Pi 4 for CPU, and everyone's like, oh, that means we'll be able to do this and that. It's like, it's just a CPU, folks. They've been running Linux on the Spike 2 board, in fact, Spike 1 board forever. So I pretty much expect the builds to be relatively similar, maybe a little bit different, but all based kind of on Linux. And better power supply that's quiet. So actually that power supply is in this game and this game over here, and it's silent out of the box. You don't need to phone PinMonk and get one of these fans anymore. It's silent out of the box. Trying to think what else is there that could be of interest. Nothing. Actually, I can't think of anything else. But it's good that this is coming. It should. I mean, this is the kind of funny thing. In theory, it should keep prices down because Stern use a system now that to manufacture that system probably is more expensive because it's using older technology. Whether it will be, look, if they're putting more stuff into the game because of it, then they're probably going to charge more. But hardware, like for like, shouldn't be significantly different. So let's come back to Star Wars. And apart from Spike 3, there is some drama, unfortunately, with this game. Stern sent to their European distributors that the game would not be available in Europe. And I was like, what? And actually, my brain jumped to, the first thing it jumped to was, oh, Stern, for Spike 3, they haven't got CE certification. But then the game's on sale in Canada and Australia. If you've got certification for those regions, you've probably got 90% of what you need for CE in UK. So I thought, it can't really be that. Anyway, I find out that basically Disney have moved to a region-by-region engagement for licensing IP. I think this is new since they acquired Fox, and just the scale of what they've got so big now. And Stern could not get what is known as Disney EMEA, Europe and Middle East and Africa. So that kind of slice that goes from Finland all the way down to South Africa. They couldn't get them on board. The feedback was it's not a big enough deal for them. All the other Disney regions are signed up, every single one of them, except EMEA. And I personally think that's bullshit. So I happen to have met the current CEO of Disney in Europe a few years ago in a previous life. He wasn't the CEO of EMEA then, but I sent him a note saying, hey, this is bullshit, please fix it, and kind of why it was important. And this week I'm hopefully meeting with them tomorrow to kind of reinvigorate the pinball story. And you know what's funny is people saying, "Oh," on the UK forum here, like there's some bozo saying, like you know, and it just shows the fact that they don't get either pinball at all, the buyers at all, the players at all, and most importantly, what this means for pinball on an ongoing basis. So, the European market at most is 20% for pinball. So 20%, whether it's Stern, whether it's JGP, doesn't really matter, right? And that's not big enough for Disney Europe. And Star Wars, right, is the biggest IP by a freaking mile, right? The best-selling game after Godzilla is Star Wars. And the best-selling game after Star Wars, believe it or not, is Data East Star Wars, back from the 90s that John Borg designed. Shoot the Death Star! That one. Star Wars simply sells. And actually, when Stern vaulted Steve Ritchie's Star Wars, it pissed off all the dealers around the world because it's a game that sells. No matter what, it's a game that sells. I personally think that game's terrible. It's Steve's worst game. I just don't enjoy it at all. And I've tried it and tried it and tried it. I just cannot get to grips with it. It doesn't feel to me like to be Star Wars. I know some people love it, but I just could never get on with it. So the thought that that's the second best selling game, you know, I think what? But it's Star Wars. They could literally have, you know, a kind of a 3-foot monkey flipping flippers in a box, put Star Wars on it, and it'll sell. And so Stern clearly, two things: one, they need a Star Wars title, and two, they want to make their dealers happy. So they're working on Fall of the Empire, and what better way of launching Spike 3 than the biggest IP in the world, and Star Wars just is the biggest IP in the world. There's no question about that, I think. So Stern thought, right, well, we're going to build this game anyway, and we hope that when Europe sees the game, they'll fall into it. Now, before I go into that, here's the thing that a lot of people I don't think are getting. Disney own, I don't know, at least half, if not more, of all the big IPs out there in the world. They obviously own all the Disney cartoons, Mickey Mouse, etc. They own Avengers. They own Star Wars. They now own things like Predator, Alien. They own all of this stuff now, right? And they also own Tron. And basically, for Europe, what this now means is that the pinball market in Europe isn't big enough for Disney Europe to want to be a part of it. Forget Star Wars. Forget every other game. Right now, no matter what the game is, no matter how good it is, whether it's made by Keith Elwin or Eric or Fred or I knocked together with 3 bits of wood and a nail, McRae's Pinball Parlor, if I want to license Disney in Europe, they're not interested. Yeah, it's big, isn't it? It is significantly big. That is why I sent an email to the CEO of Disney. That is why I'm going to meet them, because as a pinball lover, to miss out on the biggest IPs. In fact, look, I've got one here: Deadpool, X-Men, Venom. They are all Disney IPs, and I can't get them anymore. Cannot get them anymore. Now, obviously, I can get those games because they're already licensed. But suppose they do Deadpool 2, or another X-Men game, or Tron Remastered. Now you're paying attention, folks. Now you're paying attention. Tron Remastered, oh my God, oh my freaking God. I can't get it in Europe. No. That is what this potentially means. So, it's a call to arms, folk. Send Disney an email. Phone them, call them, text them. If your name's Arv, send them a fax. -1 version, remember? Contact them and make it be known that you are part of the pinball community and you're a buyer and that you're not happy with this decision, because the only way that it's going to be changed is if Disney believe this is something more important than they currently think. Disney EMEA, that is. Now, will I get Star Wars? If the game's good and I want it, will I get one? Of course I'll get one. So will probably most people. But this will have an overwhelmingly negative impact on the pinball industry in Europe, in my view, which frankly has already been struggling, at least definitely in the UK, but I also see it in other parts of Europe based on just chatting to a few folks. So go and beat on Disney. Now, some of you might say, well, Stern should have known better, and it's their fault that they did this, and it was a risky play, and it didn't pay off. You don't get it, do you? You just don't get it. This is that Europe saying they're not interested in pinball. Not Star Wars pinball, not Tron pinball, but pinball. And the biggest game, the biggest IP for pinball that sold the most, probably after Godzilla, maybe after Addams Family, is now no longer a pinball thing, which means sales are less. Automatically, the market for pinball just shrunk in Europe. That is not good. So, call to arms, folks. Look, is there more that Stern could do? I'm sure there is, and I'm sure they're trying it. Everyone's got this kind of evil approach to Stern. They're great guys. I've been there and talked to them, worked with them, spoke to them so many times. Why anyone has a negative connotation about Stern and the people there, I don't get it. It does not make any sense. Now, and as I said, this will affect pinball as a whole. So when JGP come to do, the next Pirates of the Caribbean, not in Europe, not available in Europe. That's another Disney IP, right? So please, go and have a think about what you can do. I'm thinking of taking my Mandalorian up in a van to the HQ in Soho for Disney, getting a big kind of battery and doing guerrilla pinball, get some banners, and kind of just do a kind of guerrilla pinball. I don't know if I will, but it kind of feels like that's the level of emergency for this. So yeah, it's challenging. Now, the game is we'll find out more about the game this week, and I will be at a launch event of the game, so there'll be more information coming out. Here's what we do know about the game. It's based on episodes 4 to 6. Again, here on the Great British Pinball Podcast, we announced that 4 months ago. That Bozo Canada saying, it's 1 to 3. And it's like, nope, it's 4 to 6. And the simple reality is it's set when people love the most out of Star Wars. 1 to 3, there's no love for 1 to 3. 7 to 9, there's no real love for 7 to 9. The money is 4 out of 6, and probably Andor now too. I think an Andor Star Wars would do massive. Mandalorian did pretty well. So, but the real money for Star Wars is 4 to 6. And clearly this is going to have Death Star in it. It's going to have Jabba the Hutt in it. It's going to have the Millennium Falcon in it. It's going to have some cool stuff, I'm sure. John Borg is the designer. Rumor has it Ray Day's on code, which after the masterpiece that Ray did on Metallica makes me super excited. If you haven't played Metallica remastered, go find one. It is outstanding. I think there's one in Finland in London. So yeah, look, I think the game's going to. I have a very positive vibe about the game. It's about time we had a Star Wars everybody loved. Although, again, I said this during Harry Potter. Right now, developing a game of Harry Potter that everybody loves is going to be really difficult. And actually, I know a couple of big Harry Potter fans that have skipped the game because they just didn't think it was what it should be in it. And the same could happen with Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars nut. You can see Mandalorian in the background there. And I didn't buy the Steve Ritchie Star Wars game. I just didn't enjoy it. I've got one. I've got a Pro, but it's more for kind of tournament in the club. So that's that. And one other kind of final point about Stern. A couple of things that they've been doing. They're really cranking out the code right now. John Wick got an update this week that's just amazing. I don't know if you've got hate for John Wick, play the code now. It's absolutely amazing. X-Men 2. I'll see a lot of people selling their X-Men. Boy, you're going to regret that. They are absolutely smashing it on the code. I think there's an X-Men update due next week. And they're really kicking the doors off in it rather. And more code for Kong. There was a big update for Jaws that was just outstanding as the 50th came out. And actually, the 50th's a bit annoying. I was a bit frustrated by that because for me it's devalued the whole notion of limited edition, which I've kind of mentioned before. So looking ahead, so there's the Papa World Championship this weekend. And then there's Pinball at the Lab, and then it's the UK Open. We have about 180 players here in London from all over the world that are coming. The event is completely sold out, and we're getting ready for that. Big shout out to the UK Open team that are helping me. Without you guys, it would not be possible. If you want to help us, Thursday and Monday, the 24th and the 29th. Those are the days we need the most help moving games, either at the club or at the hotel. If you've got any questions on that, please feel free to contact me. And I think that's it. So, in summary, we've got Max Rundell. Well, welcome to the world, Max. Happy birthday. Pinfest was awesome, with a couple of little tweaks that could make it even more stupendous and crucially attract more international people to come to Pinfest. Even if the hotel's filled, there's enough other hotels nearby that people will come for it. Star Wars, The Fall of the Empire, really bad news about Disney Europe, and we need to push them because this could have, I think, a bigger impact on pinball than most people realize. And that's it, really. Nothing much more to say or to cover. Actually, let me just cover June. I really enjoyed playing that at Pinfest. The game has got a great rule set, and the shots are great. The mechs on it are beautiful. The sand thing is stunning. Actually, I think it uses the same components as the hammer on Metallica. But it's such a great pinball moment. They've added voices and call-outs, and there's just been more atmosphere around it. So I was surprised when I played it a few weeks ago and thought this is awful, but they've turned that around, and actually it's looking like a real winner to me. There wasn't a Harry Potter at the event. There wasn't a load of other games at the event. Kong wouldn't have been there, but I brought it. There was no Dungeons and Dragons. There was no Metallica remastered. So it was kind of a bit down on kind of modern games, but that's just the market we're in, unfortunately, and this Disney thing doesn't help us. So we'll be back probably. At least I'll be back probably just before the UK Open, the week of the 24th of September. We'll do something then, or if anything kind of dramatic comes out of the Star Wars thing, I might do a short podcast next week. In the meantime, everyone enjoy playing pinball. The Pinball Republic is doing great. We've had a really brilliant August, very strong August. We've got a lot of new games down there. We've got 76 games in total at the club right now, so please go down and have a look. And then we've got the UK Open, and the games will probably change post UK Open as we juggle things around. With that, again, all the best to Scott and Holly and Max, and hopefully we'll have Scott on the next podcast. In the meantime, play pinball, turn extra balls off, jack up the back, take the rubber posts out. This message is for Ed, particularly. Ed, such a great player, but he's been to Funland, and in Funland, it's fun. The pinball machines are set up easy. Anyone can get a GC. Anyone can get a free game. But then you turn up at a tournament and you play like it's Funland and you don't win a trophy. That is why we set our games to be tough, so that we can win when we need to win. And on that bombshell, I'll wish you all a goodbye, farewell. And actually, as I said, if you want to know more about Pinfest, go to Martin's site, pinballnews.com. He's done the full beans on everything that was there. And well done to Spooky Evil Dead. I took it there, everyone loved it, and it played solid. Actually, Spooky, I was about to end there, but I'm gonna do a bit more. Spooky put out some amazing new releases for Evil Dead. I hadn't updated the code since I got the game back in March, and oh my god, have they added so much more cool stuff. There's a couple of more wizard modes. They've added these other modes, and the way the modes are structured is so much better. So check that out. They've got a bunch of videos on YouTube that Bug and others have done. Absolutely fantastic. And also you got this new shooter rod. It's not a rod. It's like a gun. Looks like the wrong end of a sawn-off shotgun, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's pricey, but it looks stunning. So I'm hopefully going to pick one of them up at Expo later on in October. Right, and with that, have a great pinball week, and good luck to Stern and them launching Star Wars, and good luck to everyone playing in the World Championships Papa this weekend. Adios, amigos.